Hello. Today we are making cannellini bean soup. This is actually a really easy soup. Comes together very quickly. It has a pound and a half of Yukon Gold potatoes. We're going to leave them skin on. I've washed them, so they're ready to go. 4 ounces of pancetta. If you don't have pancetta, 4 ounces of thick bacon chopped up, a quart of chicken stock, 15 ounces of cannellini beans, salt and pepper, of course, garlic, shallot. If you don't have a shallot, you can use onion, and Parmesan cheese. So the first thing we're going to do is get our vegetables prepped, specifically these guys right here. So I'm going to move everything off of my cutting board. And we're going to get the pancetta going in our pot. I'll show you what this looks like when it's open. So you saw this is a Boar's Head brand. The brand doesn't really matter as long as you have some good stuff. And you can see how this is diced. It's a small dice. It's not terribly big. You want that. This is going to give us a lot of flavor. So beans and pork, as we know, pork and beans, they go well together. And what is pancetta but pork? All right, so I'm not even putting any olive oil in here. I'm just straight putting in the pancetta. And get all of this out. One last piece. There we go. Don't want to waste any of that. All right, so we're going to let that cook down and let it smell delicious while we are getting our onions and garlic ready to go. All right, so we can just move this off to the side. We have our garlic. We'll put that into one of our bowls. Use our garlic press. I'll make quick work of this. I use 3 really good sized cloves. You can add more if you like more after you've tried making this once or twice. I think this, for the ratio of potato, and this is a big piece of garlic. Let's get that through the press. There we go. All right, so the ratio here I think is a good one. So that's 3 good sized garlic cloves. We're going to chop up our shallot and take the root end off, take the top end off. And we can actually just do a little slit like that and peel the rest of the papery skin off. And it looks like I'm taking more than I should off. I'm not. You can tell by the feel of this that this is papery, the layer that I'm removing. Okay. Get that all off to the side. I'm going to save that and put that in my vegetables for stock bag that I keep in the freezer. So we're just going to cut this up. And because this is a pureed soup, I just want to make sure that my shallot is cut as finely or as close to as finely as I cut my garlic, so everything cooks at the same rate. All right, and that's important. And because we're going to put them in at the same time, I'm just going to take my shallots and put them in here. Okay. So now that we've got our shallots and our garlic all prepped, we're going to prep our potatoes. Give our pancetta a stir. We don't want them to burn, but we do want them to get very crispy. All right, so give that a good stir. Okay, now I said earlier I washed all the potatoes and I'm leaving them skin on. There's a lot of nutrition in the skin. I'm going to just cut these up. We want a flat surface, and we just want to cut them up so that we can put them into our pot when we're ready to go. And making sure everything is the same size will allow us to have everything cook at the same rate. So let's get our potatoes cut up. My little tip for that, you see how when I cut the potato sticks to the back of my knife? I use that as my guide for the next potato as it moves the next one off. And that helps me know that I've cut them essentially the same size. The other way you can do it is to know that you're moving your finger back at the same rate, but that may not work for everybody. So I found my little knife tip does a good job. All right, so that's 1.5 pounds of potatoes that we've gotten cleaned up there, cut up. So let's take a look at what's going on in our pot. All right, our pancetta is nearly fully cooked. You can see we don't have a lot of fat left over. The pieces are all getting very crispy. I'm going to give it just another moment here, and then we're going to take it out and reserve for our garnish. So we're going to get the flavor two ways. First, by using the fat, and second, by garnishing our soup with it. So we're going to get all of this out. You can see our pan is very hot. Almost got all of it. Next, we're going to put in our onions and our garlic fairly quickly, followed by our potatoes. All right, we got them all. All right, I'm going to put, you see there is plenty of fat in there, but in case there wasn't, you could put a quick drop of oil. You can see this is already hot. So we're going to go ahead and very quickly saute our onions, which is our shallots, and if you used onion, and our garlic. Garlic can burn very quickly. You just want to do this until it's fragrant. All right, so you just want to use your nose and not just your eyes. Once you start smelling the garlic, it can quickly go from a lovely aromatic scent to a bitter burned smell. So this pot was very hot. So I'm going to put a little bit of chicken stock in here, homemade chicken stock. And it's two things I want to do here. You see, I'm getting all the brown bits up. And I also stopped the saute of the garlic because I didn't want it to burn. I started to smell it. This was really hot. And can you see how clean that pot is now on the bottom? That's just from a little bit of liquid. That's called deglazing. You can usually do that with wine, but we're not putting wine in this. So we're going to put our potatoes in. Okay. And now we're going to put all of our chicken stock. We're putting 4 cups of chicken stock. And if a little bit of chicken fat gets in there, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be delicious. All right, so the goal now is we're going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay, and a little bit of salt. And we're going to leave this to come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, we're going to bring it down to a simmer for about 20 minutes, probably about 15 minutes technically, because the potatoes are cut on the smaller side, just until the potatoes are ready to go, as far as being fork tender. All right, our potatoes are fully cooked. We have tested them. They are fork tender. So now what we're going to do is put our beans in for about 3 minutes. Just pour our beans in. The beans are already cooked, right in the can. They've already been cooked. So we're going to put those in, give that a quick stir, and in 3 minutes we'll be able to take care of pureeing our soup. All right, our beans are ready. We're going to turn off the exhaust fan so that, since we're going to make more noise with our immersion blender, and we're going to just make sure that the head is all the way submerged. Okay, you don't want it up here, you want it all the way submerged, and you want to just do a section at a time. And remember, we left our potatoes with the skin on, so it may take a little bit longer with that, so don't worry about that. Just make sure you go in one section at a time. And the potatoes are going to thicken the soup as you go, so there's no need to add cream or anything else like that. It's just going to be very smooth and silky when we're done. All right, now that our soup is completely pureed, we're going to go ahead and plate it up. You see how smooth that is? Now, if you want a thicker soup, put a little bit less liquid. Maybe put 3.5 quarts of chicken stock. Excuse me, quarts, cups. 3.5 cups of chicken stock. You can always add a little bit more while you're cooking if you think it's not enough. So garnishes. We have our generous amount of Parmesan cheese, and I mean generous. So then we're going to put a little bit of our pancetta. Here we go. And then a little bit of parsley. It'll brighten it up a bit. And there you have it. Cannellini bean soup with pancetta, Parmesan cheese, and parsley. When you try this, you're definitely going to say, "That's delicious." Enjoy!